This is actually a really good segment for us, maybe just to talk about our process. You guys want to talk about maybe the 5 stages, 5 phases that we follow in order to sort of take a product or a project from start to finish, and maybe lay out that outline so that people watching this can really understand what it is that we're talking about, and then we can sort of break it down and explain the importance of each of those phases and why it's important not to sort of chintz out on the front end and really try to just get right to action, because that's a lot of what we've been talking about lately too, is just clients are looking for immediate results, immediate action, and they don't clearly understand the value of going through what we call the discovery phase and doing all the research, all of the homework up front, so that when we start the process of advertising, or even prior to doing any advertising, just the build out alone of the infrastructure, we know exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what it looks like. Like we have it down to the point where we understand what our target CPAs are and what the potential for us to accomplish that looks like. So we start off at actually a high acquisition cost maybe, and then we show a lower acquisition cost through optimization. And every time we produce this model, we are just extremely accurate. And it's for the simple fact that we've done the homework, we know what we're doing, we've done the research, and there's really no way to really sort of accomplish that without doing that homework. And in a lot of cases, let me just add that we have been able to find problems, whereas it doesn't make any sense to move forward with the marketing unless we completely change the plan or the product sell price, or the continuity model, or anything at all like that. Sometimes that's a requirement to even get the party started, because it's just going to fail right out the gate. And if we didn't do that process of discovery, we would have had a real issue on our hands with that particular project. So interesting. Something you want to add?
And even if you started the process at the beginning, but I think let's go to the end for a minute. And I think this is probably, I think is one of our key strengths, but I also think it's one of the things that's not well understood and not put a lot of importance on with the clients. And our last step, right, which we want to do, is we want to be thinking about what is it that the client or their business, what are they trying to accomplish? And not just, we want to start seeing if we can make some sales, right? Or we want to see if we can get some traction, right? That's great, okay, and we can certainly help get traction. But if you're going to invest in doing this, what is it that you want to do? Are you trying to create a 7-figure business? Are you trying to create an 8-figure business? If you do create a 7-figure business, what are you trying to do with that? Are you trying to do something that you can sell to others? Are you trying to do something that's just going to pump out a lot of cash that you can use and live off of and live a great life out of? All of those questions have to be answered. Well, they should be answered up front before you start architecting a solution. Because the solution that we will architect will align towards what it is that person is trying to accomplish. For example, we have a client, right, who wants to build up his business to be a high 7, 8-figure business, right? And then they want to have an opportunity to sell that at a high multiple. Well, revenue is important, but there's other things that are part of that asset that need to be put into place for him to get the multiple that he's looking for, right? The buildup of his database, the buildup of how he's structuring all of his different things. All of those are assets from call it a digital or a marketing asset balance sheet, right? All the things that we're going to create and put together from a digital marketing perspective that will make his company more valuable when it comes time to sell it. If we don't think about those things right now, we're going to get down the road and we're going to go, shoot, why didn't we think about this? Or, we didn't know this is what you wanted to do with it, right? So the best businesses for us to be working with are businesses that have some goal or objective in line. And it doesn't have to be 20 years out. It could be a year or 2 or 3 years out. It's not a super long, but where do they want that business to go? And then from there, we can work backwards and architect through the process a system and a structure that will achieve that. And I know if you're an investor or you're anything, that's what you care about, right? You care about what is the ultimate success of the business. So I think that that's a big, and we've seen this, right? We'll actually ask people this question when they come in. A lot of people don't know. They look at this and they go, I don't know, I just want to see if I can get some results. Which, okay, but why, you see? what are you trying to, what happens if you do get some results?
That's typically your
Right.
guy that's undercapitalized too, or really doesn't have the proper capitalization. You know,
Or they're
to
not
really
even
take
thinking
because-
about it.
Right,
They're not
'cause they
even
don't have a
thinking
goal.
about how
That's
they're
not
going to get
clear.
capitalized, right?
Yeah.
And I think actually success, or a little bit of success up front, trial and error success,
Yeah.
is really dangerous because it's not really success, right? It's okay, yeah, I got 3 people to buy my product or whatever. Well, that's great, but how does that turn into 30,000 people buying your product? Are you just going to want to sell 3 product units a month, right? That's not going to be a viable business going forward. So, yeah, Facebook, I guess you can do some things that maybe, of course, this is getting harder, but maybe can get you some very fast trial and error success. But that certainly doesn't lead to where you're going. And you're going to end up building a strategy around trial and error that's going to break down quick as you try and scale and grow up. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is we have to look at what they're trying to do to scale and put those things together. And we have the ability to do that. But if you can't answer that question or you're not willing to look at that question, I'd recommend maybe not even doing this, right? It's go find something else to do.
What you're talking about, though, it sounds like you're raising questions that probably most professional clients aren't expecting to hear from a digital marketing agency.
Yeah, I know. I understand. And I think we're kind of unique, and maybe that's just because who we are, right? I mean, I've built and sold businesses all my life. So I'm always thinking about, well, what am I trying to do here, right? And the marketing is a tool to get me to that point. It's not the end game itself. It's a tool to get me to that point. So I think, and we're all kind of like that, right? We're all older. We've all been around. So I think that is different in what we do. I don't look at it so much as a digital marketing agency, but as an agency that's going to help somebody really expand their business using digital techniques.
Right.
That's a different thing than, hey, I'm going to throw up a Facebook page and run a couple of ads for you.
I think it's safe to say that we kind of approach digital marketing as a means to an end.
Because as you said earlier, it's an efficient and very good means to the end, right? If we could do it just as well by handing flyers out on the street, we'd probably recommend that they go hand flyers out on the street. But it is the most efficient, it's the most effective, it's the one that you have the most visibility in, right? As a longtime business owner, I used to hate marketing because I could never figure out what my money was going, right? And so now by having, as you said, the efficient, and yes, because with Facebook and social media, you now have the ability to reach at the level that you've always wanted to reach in marketing.
Yeah, it's like that old saying goes, I know that half my marketing works, I just don't know what half of it is working.
Yes.
We don't have that problem anymore.
We don't have a problem
know
anymore, right.
immediately what works.
Right. And we know, that we know where 95% of our money is going and what's working and what isn't. And then we're moving that money into the right place. But yeah, marketing is a means to an end, but no business, I mean, I knew this, 20 years ago, right? I knew I couldn't grow a business without marketing. I just hated my marketing alternatives, right, that I had. But it still didn't mean I could ignore marketing. And no one can ignore marketing, but the way that you go about it, you still want to look at it from the point of where the business is headed, and then work backwards from there and architect the right solution to get where you want that business to head. The cool thing is that now we can almost engineer business success.
Right.
Right? If we know where people want to go, we can put a plan and engineer how they're going to get there and remove a lot of the risk and remove a lot of the speculation associated with it. Or if we see that it can't be done, we'll know before that risk is taken, right? Not after millions of dollars have been invested and no one's gotten anywhere.